We were going to show a little video, but I'm going to let you go online and see it because I didn't want to take time. So I'm sorry to make a promise I'm not keeping right off the start. Lorraine, you are really something. And Mary, you know, I have such admiration for women leaders, women who lead other women. Because, you know, you have to break a sweat to lead other women. And yesterday, as they started the Pledge of Allegiance, I saw Mary step aside here and just be able to take a breather just for a minute. And I'm not sure, but I thought I saw her getting just a little choked up as she looked at the flag, and so I did too. And I just had, we don't even know each other, but we had an instant bond. So, I just want to start with one message, and that is that I love every woman in this room. And it would be my pleasure to be able to serve you in any way possible, and to create an environment where those that are challenging every value, every tradition, every piece of history in America would feel the weight and the marching feet of strongly conservative women headed for the White House. Anything Now, can you all hear me clearly? Do I have this up high enough? I want to make sure everybody can hear. Okay. So let me just start by giving you my greetings from the Social Republic of California. I'm on a nationwide search for women who are completely out of touch and who have never worked a day in their lives. I suspect that there are some in this room. It's quite an honor to come from a state where we actually started illegal immigration. We actually paved the roads with gold, and shame on us for teaching a new generation of immigrants that you can come to America and get what everyone else had worked for generations just by getting in line. So, you know, to make things worse, the governor that started it all, we just reelected him. So we're in deep, deep trouble. And sitting here last night and listening to your Secretary of State and your Speaker of the House was an amazing experience for me. I would steal them, I would kidnap them, drag them to California if I could. Because instead, you know, they told us we had a $9 billion deficit. Unfortunately, it's a $16 billion deficit, but who's counting? So that's why I brought this paper bag. Because I want to pass this around, and if you'd all just dump your wallets into it. Because I'm one of the 2% that's paying, 50% of the taxes in California. And if you won't be generous today, if you just come to Disneyland more often and spend a lot, I really appreciate it. So I just want to acknowledge that there are a lot of friends that are here in the audience today, and I have nylons on, so I just want you to know I'm not going to be speaking for very long. It's a hot climate, so you can count on that. But I have some great friends in this audience, and I'm making some greater ones. So Mary and Lorraine, I'd love to have a name like Lorraine Pellegrino, first of all. But it's just so great to be associated with you and to have the opportunity to work together this year. Michelle Bayer is such a talent. You may not know this, but I'm a producer in Los Angeles, and I actually was involved in selecting her to be a performer at Dodger Stadium and sing the Star Spangled Banner, God Bless America, there. So she's We have Lynn and Mariah here from Nevada. Now, I've just gotten to know Mariah today, but Lynn and I have been talking about the Kitchen Cabinet for 3 years, and we've been working on this for a long time, so it would be really neat for us to be able to meet face to face today. And Pat Parker, where are you seated, Pat? Pat was at the very first Federal Forum meeting I spoke at in Washington, D.C. And that was kind of scary for me. There were wives of Supreme Court justices there, and congressmen and senators and so forth. And Pat has just been a complete support to me in this whole endeavor. And so we're going to partner in just a few weeks with a survey by assess what women really think, because I don't think that we always need Gallup to tell us how we feel. So I want you to be preparing for that, because it's going to be on the kitchen cabinet. And the reason that I started this is that I felt like all of us are doing the work of the world all the time, at different levels, in different corners of conservatism. But when the election is over, we're always patted on the head, thanked for our efforts, and then they don't come back until the election. In this day and age, when the things that we hold dear are on the ballot, the voices and the wisdom of women needs to be heard in Washington in resetting the priorities of this country. So that means that not only do we need to unite this quilt of women's organizations across the country that refine the service and the political effort in this country, but we need to be united after the election so that we have a leadership body of stature that can speak to Washington leaders. This is the kitchen cabinet. Now, my daughter is the vice president. She's 15, just turned 15, and I decided right from the beginning that we must also pass the torch. So I've been in the National Federation for Republican Women for quite some time. Alice Starr, who is Kim Starr's wife, was serving as the president in the Malibu chapter. Believe it or not, there's a Malibu chapter. And I met her, and she said, "You're in." And she just grew that chapter, and I'm so glad that I am. And we're so lucky that we have this skeleton of great, courageous women that always turn out and that always do the work of America. But we cannot shoulder this by ourselves anymore. We really can't. So in this election year, we have got to broaden out. We have to do it online, on the ground, and then we need to speak on the national stage. We haven't been able to do it in the past. No one advocates for us. Nobody stands up for Ann Romney. We are going to form that line and stand up for Ann Romney. Now, I was in Washington a few months ago, and I saw a picture I'd like to share with you. I was arriving at near the Mayflower Hotel, getting out of a cab, and it was dark and kind of dank. It was about 9:30 at night. And I was in front of the bank, and there was a plate glass window with a high-definition TV inside, and on it, they were broadcasting Bloomberg Economic News. Sitting in front of that plate glass window was a homeless woman sitting on her suitcase, and she was watching the economic news. I just stood there for a second, and I thought, you know, is she looking for hope? Is she hoping that there's going to be any good news? Is she just trying to see what's coming tomorrow? And I actually snapped a shot of that woman to remind me who I was working for. I'm just one mother. I have some skills, and I've worked in the media, and I have a pretty good idea of what we need to do in this election year. But when it comes right down to it, I'm just one mother. But I feel like there are lots of women, and they're not all homeless, who feel like they have no economic power. And those that do know the way, the pathways to power, need to pave the way for those who do not. This is also the kitchen cabinet. And so there is a great woman. I hope maybe a few of you will maybe even drop her a note. Had a very, very hard life, endured trauma, and things that most of us would never even want to imagine. And somehow God saw fit for her to heal from all of that and to marry a billionaire. And she met me a couple of years ago, and I told her about the kitchen cabinet, and she made all these little gifts you have possible because she wanted every woman to have something, have their own little piece of the kitchen cabinet. So there are lots of women, and we continue to look for other women like her who are willing to pave the way for all those that carry the water in our community, that know the meaning of sacrifice, who are closest to the ground, and who care about this country. And if we unite in this election year, there is no way that we can be stopped. Now, I'd like to talk to you just a couple of minutes about why this election is different from anything else we've ever encountered. Ann Romney said at an event last week that Barbara Bush is even going to campaign with her this fall because Barbara Bush feels like this is the most important election of her life. Her husband and her son are in money. I thought that was really telling. The reason that this is so important is because of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Your personal favorite. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg is an outstanding woman, and she's achieved many great things in her life. She has a different perspective than I do, but I still respect her accomplishments. She is 79 years old and she has cancer. The liberals do not want to have the balance of the Supreme Court change. They would love to take control of the Supreme Court. They don't want to lose the Senate. That's very important, and that's why the Senate race in Arizona is especially important. In Virginia, it's especially important. And so when we think that the economy is the most important thing, it is, and we know it. When I drive down the streets in Los Angeles, I can see that there are more women waiting for the bus. It's because they have to decide between gas and milk. I have some friends in our own little neighborhood. They've rented out their house, and their 3 children have moved into their husband's construction office, and that's where they're living so they won't lose their home. One of the teenagers in my neighborhood, this is just one neighborhood, was talking to my husband who was saving some recycling. She said, "You won't get very much for that, Mr. Brown." We said, "How do you know that?" She said, "Because our mom is saving recycling to try to help pay the bills right now." And we go out, her 2 sisters and her brother, and we try to find cans and things so that we can afford a little bit of gas. Now, I wish I was making it up. But the truth is, we are not being attacked by terrorists right now. We are being attacked by incompetence. So we have this battle for the economy and everything that we hold dear, whether it be our retirements, our health care for our husbands and our parents and our children, or the Supreme Court. And there is some rumor that the decision on Obamacare might even come down on Monday. I'm not sure if that's true. There are lots of rumors going around. And so we have to be prepared. We have to be engaged. And those people that are not in this room are the ones that we need to talk to and make sure that they know and they understand. And I can speak with confidence about this because I have already seen this enemy and stared them down. In 2008, I was asked to be the Deputy Communications Director for Protect Marriage in California. Now, I know you were all fighting the battle here bravely in Arizona. I wasn't all that plugged in to what you were doing at the time. I didn't really plan on being involved in that fight. All of my colleagues in the media are gay. I had founded the largest charter school in the nation, and a lot of the people that helped me in that were people I respected who were also gay. But I was asked, because they needed help, if I would assist with the website and do things like that. And so I said, all right, I have to stand by this oath. The day after I joined the campaign, the Director of Communications fled. It was a woman, and she had been running things for a couple of months, and she knew what was coming. And so overnight, I became the spokesperson and the communications director for probably the most contentious, the most expensive initiative in the history of America. The experience I had was astonishing. My home was the campaign office because the campaign was driven from Sacramento, not Los Angeles, but the national media was in Los Angeles. And so my address, my phone number, my husband's name, his career, all of these things were out for everyone to find. One morning there was a stalker in front of my house. Another day somebody was hacking into my computer. The next day my telephone lines didn't work. By the end of the campaign I had to have 24-hour-a-day armed security. I was a mother standing up for the right of a child to have a mother and a father as often as possible in America. When I walked my daughter to school, I had to have someone with us. We had to have people sitting in front of our house every night. The Catholic churches had excrement rubbed on the outside of their buildings. Evangelical churches had bricks thrown through their windows. The Mormon temple, the gates were rushed. it was like something I had never seen before, and like my daughter had never known before. I lost my seat on the school board of the school that I helped to found. My husband lost partners in business. Many people lost business and were on hit lists and all sorts of things that are just un-American, unbelievable. But what it really struck home to me was on Halloween, 4 or 5 days before the election. And my 5th grader asked if I would come to the Halloween parade at school. And I didn't really want to go because I was on TV every day saying that there are great families on both sides of this issue, but we must do what's best for kids. But she wanted me to come, and so I did. And I went to the Halloween parade, and not one person would stand by me. And I built a playground for them that we would stand in. So it was a whole new reality for me. And on election night, I walked into the hotel where we were going to be in the ballroom all night. Good Morning America, and CBS, and NBC, and the Wall Street Journal, and Washington, all these, they were all lined up with their cameras pointed, waiting for us to lose. I walked in the hotel and I thought, I'm going to lose tonight, and I just hope that we can put our lives back together after this happens. So you can imagine how it felt when about 6 or 7 o'clock at night we heard that Florida had ratified marriage by landslide, put in place a constitutional amendment. And you can imagine how much it meant to me when I heard that the people of Arizona did the same thing. I knew you were behind us, and I knew and I felt that you were behind me. And it had been a very lonely trail. And so even though we've never met before, I just want you to know that I cherish each and every one of you, and it was a shock to the media. So you can imagine how overjoyed we were by 11 o'clock when in California, because every woman in California, 5 million African American, Latino women, evangelical women, Catholic women, Mormon women, we all worked shoulder to shoulder and we marched to the polls because we knew what was important. Well, all of the people we faced in that battle are the same opposition in 2012. And I knew that they would be here. And that's why you see in the news that President Obama has made distinct choreographed moves on the issue of marriage. Because the economy is important, but they would gratefully take down the economy to win the Supreme Court. So when we think, do we want to watch TV tonight, or is there somebody we can call? Can we look in our own families and make sure that every single member of our family that is like-minded is registered? And by the way, make sure you're registered, because 8 to 10 million conservatives think they are, but they've moved in the last year, Pat Parker. and you're not registered. 8 to 10 million conservatives. So if all we did was look around and talk to folks and say, are you sure that you're current? That could change the outcome of this election. So in 2008, I decided this was the last time that one woman should have to stand up alone. Whether it's Ann Romney or Sonja Brown or anybody else, there needs to be an army of women in this age who know what is right, who know where true north is, and who know how to get in touch with one another. And that's the kitchen cabinet. So I'd just like to show you how this works, because none of us have any time for another meeting. It all has to be electronic. And as much as I love all of the men that are helping in this election, they're really not that savvy about the internet. And so while Obama has data scientists in back rooms around the clock harvesting information off of Google so that they'll have the most current information on low propensity voters, we need to be working online. And so that's what the kitchen cabinet is. Now, how many of you know how to get on the internet and feel comfortable? That's what I figured. And everywhere I go across the country, whether it's Virginia or Florida, Alabama, Idaho, this is women dominate the internet. event. There are 46 million of us on it every night. This is why we no longer need the CBS Evening News.
Or New York Times.
This is why we can win this election without $1 billion. All we have to do is what we do naturally, which is communicate. So the kitchen cabinet, I have built this, gives you a couple of opportunities. And a big evangelical group that is very involved in this election has built an election headquarters that we'll be using in the fall from home. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can use it any time of day. You can be in the carpool lane with an iPad or at home on your computer. But the most important thing, and if you just click on that, are you registered? That's what I'd like you to start looking at. You can type in your name. Why don't you type in your name? Let's find out if you're registered. And you can see if you are registered to vote and make sure that you are. And what you want to do is to have all of your friends do the same thing. So what we want is for everyone to know where the kitchencabinet.us is. Because this is the moveon.org for conservative women in 2012. This is going to be the meeting house. This is going to be the information highway where we can get calls to action. Luckily for her, she is.
Yay,
we are so proud of you. Now, if she wasn't, it says print form, email form. You could actually send an application to somebody you know to register to vote. Now, if you don't mind going back to the home page, just so you know, you can check and see if you're registered, and then in the middle, you can get registered. But why don't we just go to, and here, anywhere, just online. You can type in any state there, or click on it, or your zip code, and get a ballot or an application for a registration form, and fill it out right there. Print it, mail it. Anywhere in America. Isn't that great? Now, this is what we want to do, because the swing vote in this election are the 13% of independent women in America. In 2008, these women actually had faith in Barack Obama. In 2010, they lost faith and they voted Republican. In 2012, if we can bring those women to the polls again to vote with us, we win. This is why everyone is offering us free contraceptives. Did you know there was a shortage? So, do you get the picture now? These 13% are called Walmart moms, and they generally make $50,000 or less a year, have one child at home, and shop at Target or Walmart once a month. Well, that's how many of us. It's hard for a woman to make $50,000 a year. So those women are looking for help. So what we want to do is serve them. We don't want to leverage them. We don't want to insult them. We want to serve them in the kitchen cabinet through all of our networks. And we want to say to anybody that we come upon at a car wash, schoolyard, online, through your Facebook list, your contact list, and say, are you registered to vote? And I do that with women that are younger than I am. And I say, because I feel terrible that I'm burying you in my debt. It's not right. So I want to make sure you're registered to vote so that you can do something about it. Do you think those women I talk to are going to remember me? So go to the kitchencabinet.us and then I'll give them a card or something. I'll write it on it down for them. And I just tell them, do you want to go back to the home page for me? So that's the whole mission, is to give women the feeling that we want to inform them. We want to tell them the truth. We are the truth tellers. And the kitchen cabinet, if you'll just scroll down, is a news page. It's a Facebook page where we can inform one another. Every day we have different things on there. You can choose headlines you like. I throw pictures up there that are kind of fun. There'll be videos down at the bottom. Just different things which you can send to women. It's kind of a little Huffington Post, almost. I'm sure he's given up cigarettes now. I'm sure. So we've got 80,000 almost on Facebook. The best thing you could do to serve me today would be to go home and to tell everyone you know. Critical mass, that's what we need. So if the Federation of Republican Women across the country, and the Tea Party leaders, and the Business Women's Leagues, and the interfaith leaders of women, and homeschooling networks where there are millions now, if we are all selecting our leaders, and we tell our people the power of this and the impact we can have. And then in the last 72 hours of the election, if you'll just click on Get to Work, we have our own online election headquarters. And right there, you can send an email, you can contact people on Facebook, and you can click on it if you want. And in the last 72 hours, we're going to have data in there. This is how you, just go ahead and put an email in. We'll have data in there, and you'll be able to talk to anybody in the country. And if you're in Arizona and we say, hey, we need help in Colorado, you'll be able to change the state on the election headquarters and start contacting people in Colorado. So make up a password there. Now, let me tell you how I feel about emails. They're sacred. So if you select an email or you put in your personal email in the kitchen cabinet, that's just how you send a message on Facebook, and you can post the kitchen cabinet and tell your friends, everybody needs to know about this. Look, so you can get Barack Obama on it too. Emails are sacred. And if we create an information highway for conservative women so that we know how to find each other, there's no way that we're going to share that with anyone. And I make you that promise. So I want you to know that when you come to the kitchen cabinet, anything you do, you can actually upload your email list for only your use and then contact people on your email list. You can make calls. You can upload your cell phone list on it if you want. All sorts of things that you can do there. So all of that information is protected and for your use only. So if you don't want to leave your home, or if you're tired and you've been at the Victory Center all week long, or if your daughter has a 2-year-old and can't leave, this is where she can have a chance to make a difference and to change Washington from home. And that's what the kitchen cabinet is built to do. So I hope that you'll all take a look at it when you get home and see how big you can blast it out, because that's the intent of it. Now let me just close with this. No, even though the polls look good for Mitt Romney right now, he felt like he would probably be down 10 points. It's amazing that it's a dead heat. You can see yesterday Barack Obama gave away another gift, and he's going to keep doing things like that. As a matter of fact, it's almost frightening what they might try. They have almost a rudderless campaign. I can't explain it, except that Barack Obama has never apparently had a fight before. Everything was kind of handed to him. If I were him, I'd be drinking my Lanta every night, because he's going to have to debate Mitt Romney. So let me tell you a couple things about Mitt Romney you might not know. He got his MBA and his law degree at the same time at Harvard. Think about that. So think about the capacity of a man like that versus someone like Barack Obama, who's kind of had a hand up all the way and having to debate him. The other thing I like about Mitt Romney is that when he was a clergyman, he worked all day long at Bank Capital making millions, and then he went to his church at night and he sat with couples and teens and counseled them on troubles in their lives and taught young couples how to set up budgets and gave money to people through the church that needed extra help. He has been on the ground and he has been at the top. I like that about him. I don't think that we have had a candidate for the presidency who has managed as many people as Mitt Romney has since George Washington. If you think about it. Who has the pedigree of Mitt Romney and who also has the experience in business. You know, George Washington ran a really big farm. That taught him a lot of things. Who have we had that has that kind of skill set? It's amazing to me almost that women would even think twice at a time when everything that we're counting on, our paychecks, our husband's paychecks, our retirements are at stake, that a man like that would be willing to run. Have you noticed that Donald Trump is not revealing his tax returns to anybody? And the Romneys have put in $55 million of their own money for the opportunity to serve. Ann Romney could easily just take care of her own health. So when anybody asks you, well, what's his motivation? His motivation is to serve this country, and there are still people like that, and we're so lucky that he is out there. And lastly, if you think about when they talk about how he took care of the Olympics in Salt Lake City, don't forget that that was only 4 months after 9/11. That was the most dangerous time in history to throw Olympic Games. Not one thing happened. He integrated with the Secret Service, the Defense Department, the National Security Administration, and everything ran smoothly. So I just think we are so fortunate. I don't know what we would do without him. I will do anything to catch their backs. And lastly, why does a man become great like that? Because he has a wife like Anne Romney. And I respect Michelle Obama too. She's a good mother, but she means it when she says if she could just keep walking out of the White House and keep going, she'd do it. And I truly do believe it. So I think it's time that we welcome someone back to the White House who does not apologize for America, that will decorate a Christmas tree, and doesn't make apologies for Christmas either. And I understand that she has different views on things, but this is America, and we want people that love it in the White House taking care of it. So this closing story for you. Anne Romney was speaking at Maria Shriver's women's conference in California in 2008. She was just kind of getting her feet wet. At that event, John McCain's wife was there, Cindy. John Edwards' wife was there. Michelle Obama was there. I'm trying to think who else was sitting at the table. They were all there, and they were to talk about what it was like to be wives of presidential candidates. Instead, all of the women leaned in and just wanted to talk to Anne Romney about how to raise 5 good children. Impressive. It was very impressive to me. They didn't talk politics. All they wanted was for her to talk about how she did it. In this day and age, it doesn't matter as much what happens at the White House as what is happening at our house. And I like Anne Romney for that example. Because it is time that we start building our standards of living around our families again, and not our families around our standard of living. I think she's a very good example of someone who has been a professional about being a mother and doesn't make an apology for it. So we have great candidates. You've got Jeff Flake. We have all these great people that were here last night. I've even donated to some of your races in Arizona because my money's worthless in California. So I'm telling you, let's throw in together. It's my privilege to be able to create a platform where we can unite. I would love to work with you. If you know women that should be with us in your areas, let's have a conference call. Get in touch with Mary and let us know, and we'll have a conference call with women in your area, because as soon as we do, they move it out. That's all we need to do, and we can change America. Let me close with this great quote that a woman in Arkansas gave me, because it is so true. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing